What if I told you that what you feel for this person might not be just desire? What if this attraction, this peace you feel when you think of them, wasn't just a figment of your imagination, but a silent answer from Allah? You keep praying, asking for signs, doubting. But deep down, there's this something that refuses to fade. An invisible connection. A direction your heart seems to follow again and again. What if it wasn't a coincidence? What if Allah was already saying yes, without you realizing it? In this video, I'll take you on a spiritual journey to the heart of invisible signs. Signs that many ignore, but which, when they manifest, change everything. Stay until the end, because what you discover could be the confirmation your soul has been waiting for so long. Onin. When your heart whispers and your soul bows. There are moments in life when you don't speak to anyone. You don't seek advice. You don't seek outside validation. You are simply there, alone with your heart. And in that silence, something speaks. It's not a voice. It's not reasoning. It's a subtle inclination of your soul. You think of this person, and yet you don't feel confusion, tension, or the restlessness that selfish desire causes. Nor do you feel the oppressive fear of being wrong. What you do feel is a peace, a calmness you didn't invent, a kind of inner prostration, silent, but very real, as if your heart were bowing before your mind even understood. It's not a fire. It's not love at first sight. It's not passion that consumes. It's something much rarer, recognition. As if your soul had rediscovered a light it had known, somewhere in an invisible world. As if this person weren't new, but familiar. And you don't know why this thought soothes you. You don't know why this person, among so many others, doesn't provoke frenzy in you, but a sacred silence. A silence in which you no longer need to ask questions because something inside you has already been answered. You continue with your life. You move forward, but this feeling remains. It doesn't cry out. It doesn't impose itself. It remains like a silent prayer your heart makes without you articulating it. And in this gentle persistence, you begin to wonder, could this calm be a sign? For when Allah wants to move you away from something, He creates agitation. He places resistance, tension, barriers that constrict your soul. But sometimes, when He directs you to something written for you, He places a peace, an effortless fluidity. And this peace, you can't fake. It doesn't come from your ego. It isn't born of blind attachment. It comes from a much purer place. From a place where intentions are aligned, where prayers have been offered in secret, where you've asked for nothing but a path that leads to what Allah wants for you, even if it means giving up. And yet, despite all the times you've tried to run away from this idea, it returns. Not violently, gently. It returns because it doesn't depend on your whim. She returns because she perhaps carries an echo of the decree. What if this calm wasn't just emotional relief, but a response? What if this serenity, which you feel when you think of her, was, in reality, the very first manifestation of Allah's yes, whispered softly, silently, but impossible to ignore?
2. What if it was more than just a coincidence? You live your life normally, you move forward, you say your prayers, you ask Allah to guide you, to show you what is good for you. But despite all the distractions, a presence returns. Not obsessively, not forcedly, but discreetly, like a star shining back in your inner sky. You run into this person when you least expect it. You hear their name in a casual conversation. You think about them in moments of calm, sincerity, and you wonder, why now? Why again? Why her? So you ask the question. Q. Is thinking about this person haram? No. Not if what you feel comes from a pure place. Not if your heart, instead of wandering, turns towards the Creator. It is not haram if these thoughts are shrouded in modesty, prayer, and clear intentions. It is not haram if you seek to build this bond under the light of Allah, not in the shadow of desire. For sometimes, Allah places a thought in your heart not to disturb you, but to guide you. He shows you a face, a name, a memory, not to test your faith, but to awaken your discernment. Q. What if I feel a deep peace when I think of her? Then don't ignore it, for peace is not a detail. Peace is often the secret language of Allah. When He distances you from something, He takes peace from it. When He brings you closer to it, He offers you a tranquility that nothing external can explain. You could be stressed, uncertain, overwhelmed. But as soon as this person crosses your mind, you feel grounded. And this peace doesn't come from human attachment. It doesn't come from passion. It comes from the fact that your soul recognizes a path on which Allah walks with you. Q. What if this person pushes me to draw closer to Allah? Then you must stop and think, because it's not common. There are encounters that make you forget Allah, and there are encounters that awaken you to Him. Encounters that, without forcing you, without seducing you, remind you that you have a soul. Encounters that make you pray harder, fast more sincerely, cry more often. People who, by their very existence, make you want to be a better version of yourself, not to impress them, but to make you worthy of what you feel. And here, you must ask yourself an even bigger question. Is this a distraction, or is it a direction? Because distractions consume you. They waste your time, your faith, your self-esteem. But directions straighten you out. They connect you. They are silent messengers sent at a precise moment to usher you into a decree you didn't see coming. So, is this just a coincidence? Or is Allah repeating His answer over and over again until you finally open your eyes? 3. The story of a silent call. There was a sister, discreet, sincere, faithful in her prayers, but heavy with silence. She didn't talk about him, she didn't post anything, she wasn't trying to provoke a destiny. She prayed. But what she was asking for was an end. An end to this feeling she carried, like stagnant water in her heart. She believed that what she felt was a weakness, a test, an illusion. So she begged Allah every night to free her from it. Make me forget him, she said. Erase his name from my chest. Remove this image from my mind. I want to love you, not lose myself. But the more she ran, the deeper the emptiness grew. And her heart grew heavy, not because she was clinging to a person, but because she was stifling a silent call she didn't yet understand. Months passed. She cut ties. She went into emotional exile. But deep inside, something resisted. Not an obsession, a wounded peace, refusing to die. Until one night, in the middle of prayer, she no longer had the strength to ask for oblivion. She collapsed, but this time, she changed her words. O Allah, do not take away from me what you may have given me. But if it is not from you, take it away gently. Do not let me struggle with your writing, show me. And something shifted. Not in the sky, not in a spectacular miracle, but in the rhythm of the days. Subtly, slowly, but surely. The next day, she came across his name without looking for it. The day after that, a friend mentioned him without intention.
A week later, an opportunity opened up, without effort. And in the weeks that followed, what had seemed frozen began to shift. Walls were falling, paths were becoming clearer. And without her knowing how, she was no longer running away. She was moving forward. But it wasn't emotion that guided her steps. It was the new serenity she felt in the depths of the invisible. As if Allah, without shouting, had begun to rearrange the world around her. She didn't see any obvious signs. She wasn't receiving any messages. But order was returning, fluidity, alignment. And she understood. Allah had never wanted her to forget. He had wanted her to stop deciding for Him. When she asked to forget, she received emptiness. But when she asked for light, guidance descended, not in the form of mental certainty, but in the form of peace. A peace so silent, so complete, that she no longer needed to look for signs. She lived in the answer, and that's when she knew. When Allah says yes, He doesn't shout. He directs the winds, moves walls, touches hearts, and everything aligns. 4. When the universe weaves an unexpected thread. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a vast desert, without noise, without wind, just the silence of the world between two divine breaths. And there, in the distance, a glow, faint, constant, almost timid. It doesn't call to you. It doesn't push you. It exists. And the more you look at it, the more you feel that it's there for you. This is how a plan sometimes begins that you don't yet understand. Not with upheaval, but with a strange tranquility. As if something invisible was slowly weaving the threads of a destiny that your heart recognizes even before your reason believes it. There is this person. You don't know why they come back, why every detour still leads to them. You don't chase them, you don't cling, and yet they are there. In the words of a stranger, in a fleeting dream, in a reminder heard in a deserted mosque, in a silence heavy with meaning. It's as if each fragment of life is taking you, gently, subtly, in a direction you don't choose. Not out of obsession, but out of submission to something larger. You look around you, and suddenly the chances become too precise. A conversation shared at the right time, an unexpected opening, a difficulty overcome without a struggle. Everything becomes like a constellation, points you didn't connect before, but which suddenly take shape. And your heart, if it is truly turned towards the Creator, begins to see the thread no one else sees. Not an emotional thread, a sacred thread, a weaving whose precision is anything but human. It's not a spectacular miracle. It's the invisible hand of Allah that fine-tunes the details. He doesn't give you flamboyant proof. He sheds just enough light for you to move forward, not out of mental certainty, but out of inner faith. And that's when you realize the universe doesn't conspire. It obeys. Every atom, every heartbeat, every synchronization is not the result of chance. It's the silent obedience of creation to the will of the Lord. So when you see the doors open one by one, when the person doesn't drain your energy but awakens it, when your du'as meet with answers you no longer expected, you're not facing a coincidence. You're facing a divine thread, stretched between two souls prepared to unite not by attraction, but by alignment. And sometimes, Allah doesn't say to you, this is the person. He simply shows you a path. And if it's illuminated at every step, maybe you're not just walking. Maybe you're being guided. 5. When doubt persists, despite clarity doubt, it creeps in silently, even at the heart of the obvious. You could have seen 1,000 signs, 1,000 alignments, but it remains there, silent, like a mist between your heart and your certainty. And you ask yourself, what if it's just me? What if it's not him? You're afraid, not of the person, but of deceiving yourself into thinking that it's Allah who guides you when it's just you who insists. That's normal, because your heart doesn't want to steal what only heaven can grant. Because you refuse to build a future on a desire that could be nothing more than a mirage. But listen carefully. What if doubt weren't the enemy of guidance, but a test of its purity? You pray, you move away, you come back. You want to forget. You can't. You cry in your heart, show me if it's you or if it's me. And each time, despite the chaos, despite the time, the face of that person returns. Not as an obsession, but as a discreet echo. A calm after the turmoil. A reminder after forgetting. You didn't nourish this desire in forgetting Allah. You carried it into His presence, in your prostrations, in the hours when no one saw your struggle except Him, in the dry tears, the stifling silences, the wordless prayers. You didn't fall in love with an illusion. You've fallen in love with something that you want to make halal, something that you want to see grow in the light. So sit down, just for a moment, and ask your heart, what I feel, does it push me to run away from Allah? Or every time I think of this person, do I want to become better to deserve something pure, true, blessed? Desire becomes a problem when it devours faith. But when it is born of faith, when it is rooted in patience, in supplication, in sacrifice, then it is no longer a desire. It is a direction. And perhaps what you are experiencing is not confusion, but purification. Perhaps doubt does not divert you. Perhaps it refines you. For those who seek signs sometimes find their own reflection. But those who seek Allah find answers they never expected. And if after all this time, this silence, this inner struggle, he or she is still there, not in desire, but in the plan, then maybe you're not lost. Maybe you're exactly where Allah wanted you to be. 6. Desire that becomes submission. There comes a time when your heart stops struggling. It no longer begs to be granted. It no longer knocks on the gates of heaven, crying out. It sits down, it falls silent, and it watches what Allah is doing, gently, invisibly. It's not that the desire has disappeared. No, it's still there, but it has transformed. It is no longer an uncontrollable thirst. It has become a tranquil river, flowing towards a higher source. That's when something immense happens. When you no longer want to possess that person. When you want to deserve what they represent on your path to Allah. You no longer say, "Oh Allah, give me." You say, "Oh Allah, purify me so that what you have written for me may find me at peace." This change is subtle, but it changes everything. You stop fighting for things to happen. You begin to walk slowly, with confidence, with modesty, with faith. And the further you go, the more you realize that what you called desire was in reality an inner call toward a love that elevates you. Look carefully. You no longer cry with impatience. You cry with gratitude. For even while you wait, Allah shapes you. He polishes your heart. He tears away pride, haste, lack of faith. And He places something else there. Something stronger than need, submission. And then, everything changes. You're no longer the one chasing an answer. It's the answer that reaches you at the rhythm of your inner calm. You see, sometimes Allah doesn't say no to you. He says, not in that state, not with this restless heart, not with these burning expectations. But when you place your heart as one places an offering, then, perhaps, you will see that, yes, you no longer expect it. And this person, you no longer want them because they complete you. You want them because together you could be closer to the Most High. You no longer want to be with them to fill a void, but to walk together toward a light you no longer want to lose. So, what if this peace you feel now, this strange and sacred calm that has replaced your restlessness, was precisely the sign that heaven was waiting for you here? Not in demand, but in surrender. Maybe it's no longer a desire. Maybe it's submission, disguised as love. You've heard the signs. You've felt the vibrations. And now the real question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to continue to doubt? Or begin to pray with more conviction, with more confidence, with more calm? If your heart recognized itself in these words, it's not alone. And above all, it's not crazy. So share this video with someone who is also waiting for a sign. Leave a comment, simply writing, "I place myself in the hands of Allah." And if you want more content like this, to help you decode Allah's silent answers in your life, subscribe now. This isn't just a video. It might be a milestone in your destiny. Because one day, you'll look back and you'll understand that this is where it all began.